Welcome to the Knowledge Gumbo Podcast, where we mix together timeless wisdom and thought-provoking discussions using quotes, sayings, proverbs, and book passages primarily by African American women and Black women overall. I'm your host, Alicia Thomas, and fellow knowledge seeker, looking to learn about these fabulous Black women and their thoughts. Let's get cooking. Is holding on just a rest stop or a destination? Let's explore how resilience can be our greatest ally. Today's quote: that's all anybody can do right now. Live, hold out, survive. I don't know whether good times are coming back again, but I know that won't matter if we don't survive these times. Octavia E. Butler, from the book Parable of the Sower. Octavia Butler was the first science fiction writer ever to receive a MacArthur Fellowship. It is often referred to as the Genius Grant. Parable of the Sower is the first book in the Earthsea duality, and the story begins, ironically, in the year 2024. It's a two-sided novel, actually, when you think about it. On one side, there's a dark novel that explores civilization spiraling into chaos, hatred, and unlimited violence. Does that sound familiar? But on the other side, it's a story about faith, family, hope, and community. Very, very pivotal. So as we look at this quote or this passage from this book per se, there's a space between hope and despair. For those of you of faith, you know that there's a scripture in Proverbs, I believe it's chapter 13, verse 12. Hope deferred makes the heart sick, but a longing fulfilled is a tree of life. And part of this passage gives you that mindset of you have to control the space between hope and despair. Because if you lean towards despair, it will definitely make your heart sick. And we tend to become disheartened when our expectations are not properly met. We have to correct our behavior between the dream and the dream fulfilled. And that means doing all the little things to make that dream a reality. Control the controllables. Do what's in your sphere of influence and capability of doing. Because if we don't correct our behavior and we wait for someone else to get it done, for someone else to give us passage or permission, we will never get anything done. You have to do the things that's within your realm of possibility and capability of doing. It's like saying you want to go to law school. You don't study. For the LSAT, you don't take courses in undergrad that is going to prepare you to enter law school. But then you want to say, my dream didn't come true. But you didn't do the things that will open the pathways to make that dream come true. It's not enough to have a dream without a work ethic. But also in that space between, we need to practice patience. We need to learn to trust ourselves. And we need to learn to persevere, because everything is not going to come when we want it, how we want it, in the way we want it. It just doesn't happen that way. Things will come, and it may not look like what you thought it would look like. It may not come wrapped in the package that you thought it would come wrapped in. It may not even come from the person you thought it would come from. But we have to have that patience. We have to trust in ourselves and in the work that we're putting in. Like in the duality of this book, there is an opposite that is positive to any negative. We cannot give up hope. We cannot lose sight of where we want to go. We have to have faith. Faith in our plans, faith in ourselves, even when we are uncertain. When we don't know exactly what the next step is going to be or what the next step is going to bring, we know, like in this passage, we have to hold on, because if we give up, nothing will ever happen. It'll just be over and done with. And that's the sad thing about those of us who have lost people who have given up hope. They need to hold on. Just like, unfortunately, good times don't last always, neither do bad times. And it is up to us to persevere through the bad, to celebrate and appreciate the good while the good is here. Don't take for granted the good times either. Take advantage of prosperity, both the good and the bad. And we have to be meticulous in our working while we're waiting, because that's one thing that's really, really critical. You say you want something, but you're not willing to go through the process and do the work. It's like, I don't remember the entire story. There's a movie called, I can't think of it. The movie Facing the Giants. There we go. It's a Kendrick Brothers movie. And there's a section in that movie where a football coach is really disheartened, and he's talking to a man who comes to the high school every day. This is a Christian high school, and he prays over the locker room, and he's praying for revival. And he asks the man, what are you doing? Why do you come here every day? Why do you keep doing what you're doing? Why are you praying over these lockers? And the man tells him a story about two farmers who are living through a drought, and they both get together and they pray to God for rain. One farmer sits and waits for God to answer his prayer. The other farmer prepares his fields. So when God sends the rain, who's most prepared for it? So that's what I'm saying with you. When we're in bad times, are we doing the things we need to do to prepare for the good, to prepare for when things change, when things pivot? Octavia Butler was known for her meticulous writing process. She spent years developing her novels. She wasn't one of these people that pumped out novels left and right 2, 3, 4 times a year. And there's nothing wrong with that. In her writing process, she spent years developing her novels and characters before she ever thought about putting them into publication, because she wanted the worlds that she was creating and crafting to be flawless from beginning to end. Her novels are known for pulling you into it, and you're just lost in this world that she's created. And because she's so meticulous, you are drawn in, you're totally sucked into it. I picked this quote also because we're getting ready for the next president, and a lot of people are feeling despair about what may come and what may happen. We have to keep doing the right things. From an everyday standpoint, there's nothing we can do on a federal level, but we can start getting involved on the local level, because everything that happens on the local level, especially when they're successful, bubbles up and eventually becomes federal leaders. So if we can make a positive impact on the people who are doing it locally, they will be loyal to us when they're doing it federally. We've had almost 50 presidents, and not one president has totally been able to stop any show. Presidents weren't able to stop depressions, and no matter how much credit we give Roosevelt, presidents weren't able to revive the economy, because everything came at a price. And the people who have succeeded, or the people who were consistent, whether times were in plenty or whether times were in lack. And we have to have that mindset of being consistent and doing the things that we need to do, setting what success looks like for us, honoring that and working towards that, and remembering to be generous, both in times of plenty and in times of lack. I highly, highly recommend you check out Octavia Butler and this series. Let's look at that passage one more time. That's all anybody can do right now. Live, hold out, survive. I don't know whether good times are coming back again, but I know that won't matter if we don't survive these times. So let's remember that passage. Let's hold on. Let's know that we need to survive these times in order to thrive later on. Because if you don't survive and get through, you can't get to the thriving and succeeding that is waiting for you on the other side. The challenge for this week, create a feed jar. You're like, Alicia, what's a feed jar? Is a jar where you sit down and write letters or notes to yourself about your successes. And I'm recommending doing it maybe every other day or maybe just once a week. Write little letters and notes to yourself about your successes and the things you're overcoming each day. It can be really small things or something big. When you have that and times get hard, you can pull out those things and see what you've done, what you've come through, because we lose sight of how far we've come and we only look at where we are in that moment. We've been blessed over a long time. We've had hard times before and we've come out of it. So these letters you can be used to increase your confidence, feed your faith, and starve your fear. I think it's critical to have something like that. It could just be a journal if you don't want to have a jar, but you got to put down these stories of your successes and pull them out, boost yourself up. If this is your first time watching or listening, don't subscribe or follow yet. Watch or listen to more episodes before you commit, because we want active family members, not hostages, in our gumbo kitchen, okay? Thank you for listening and or watching. If you received some value from this episode, share it with 2 people. For my audio fam, please leave a positive review. For the video fam, please like this episode and leave a comment below. You are always welcome to pull up a chair. There's always room at the table. The gumbo is hot.